Hey, what's up? At the beginning of 2024, January 1st of 2024, when I was sitting in my hotel room in Birmingham, England, looking out and watching the fireworks, spin around as it turned to midnight, I promised myself that I would make a video every single day of 2024, but alas, somehow it is already the 4th of January. A lot of shit has happened. I thought I had been making a video every single day of 2024 because to me it's like yesterday was the 1st of January, but also no. It feels like the 1st of January was a week ago or weeks ago because so much has happened. So my head has been all over the place and I haven't been able to make a new video. Also, as you can see, new haircut. Looks a little bit gay, but I like it. It's got a distinctive style to it, and you can tell that a lot of work has been put into it. So I don't know if I'll be keeping it for long or at all, but I like it for now, so I'm just gonna stick with it. So today's topic, or so to say, journal, is mostly about social alienation. I feel like social alienation is something that's very present, mostly among young men, because when you see these extremist cells and groups popping up all over the place of individuals that feel like they need to have some place to belong to, some place that they can find like-minded people who share their goals and ideas. These are often very alienated, very lonely young men. They have not been taught to meditate or go to the gym properly or have faith in anything, not even themselves. Mostly because they've had absent fathers throughout their lives, or fathers that haven't been very supportive or masculine to them. And many people say, oh, being masculine doesn't have much to do with it. But when you're a man and you're expected to be a man by society, whether that's good or bad, there are certain expectations that are placed upon you. And when you don't fulfill that, a lot of the time you feel alienated. And for a lot of time, this is true for men. Women have, always have value in their families, or they're perceived as valuable for their looks. Whereas as a man, if you're ugly and if you don't, work or contribute anything to society, and you're just out there on the street being a bum, you hold no real value. And the only real value that you hold is in your mind. This is why all those teachings about spirituality and like finding your wisdom have been about breathing, about blinking, about finding that sense of self-control down to the very core root level where your brain can be like, I can think, where you can realize that you think, therefore you are. All these things, blinking, breathing, thinking, the realization of these things and your perceivable of yourself as an observer of yourself, that detachment in the third sense to where you can understand that there's other components around you, and that whenever you feel pain, there are people around you that perceive you feeling pain. They can't feel that you're a cell in this magnificent organism of society and of human beings. It makes your misanthropy feel a little less. But these men are bound to be misanthropes and are bound to go into, question their morality, and what kind of mission they should be partaking in, and whether there's any kind of morality at all, because they don't have that community. That's why churches were formed in every major religion. That's why there's synagogues or mosques or churches in the Christian tradition, because providing that sense of community allows people to be moral. It instills a set of moral beliefs and values in them that they wouldn't have otherwise had. So for every single movement in history, particularly my movement, the Scorpion movement, it has been very important to accumulate these men in a tight space so that you can teach them what is right and what is wrong. And a lot of movements that have been steered toward the bad direction have taken advantage of this, because it's very easy to teach a man to do something horrible for your benefit if that man doesn't have a sense of instilled moral values from his family. If there is no family to speak of, then you can teach that man anything and he'll fall easily into a cult or a line of thinking. Whereas if that man already, has some kind of faith, it's necessary to kill it in order to get that man to do what you desire of him. And people have either adapted the faith in order to train people in that faith and playing the long-term game where they later encourage them to do heinous acts and then justify it with the faith, like the Crusaders did in some sense, although not all of the actual time. Or they can like kill that faith, which is what the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany did when they encouraged atheism or so-called positive Christianity. So basically like traditional faiths with adaptations that were straight up blasphemous, that encouraged people to, slaughter in the name of their faith. Or with no adaptations, just complete atheism, at which point they're a blank slate, as Rousseau would say. And then, as Jean-Jacques Rousseau would say, you can like put anything onto them and they would become a philosophical, psychological blank slate. That is the risks that we're dealing with in this epidemic of loneliness. So social alienation has largely led to that epidemic of loneliness. And this is what I have discussed with my friend in Krakow a couple days ago, my friend Mikal. And I came over to Krakow for a day and we went over these tall buildings. And it didn't look modern. It didn't look modernist at all. They were just old castles, old wall-looking buildings. And there was no discrete purpose to them, but we were arguing about how everyone was just stealing from us because we had to pay for our food, we had to pay to go inside these buildings, and how this consumerist modernist society has like accumulated everything into it in a sense of capitalism, realism by Mark Fisher. It being merely a description of something that would be, nuanced and explained in that book. It was like a classic example of capitalist realism. We were seeing all these buildings around us and they were adapted for the purposes of modernism. How could someone ever not feel socially alienated in a world like that? So make communities, particularly the Scorpion movement, join the Scorpion movement, because we will not tear your rights and your beliefs away. We will allow you to adapt to us in whichever way you may choose. We need everyone we can get our hands on. And don't fall victim to social alienation, because we need to prohibit that and allow people to make informed communities, social circles, friend groups, in order to prohibit our society from going down this path where lonely young men can be pulled into these extremist groups and lead to the downfall of what we perceive as a valuable civilization. And it can create a backlash where this modernist civilization takes over, because every single time a tragedy happens, the powers that be use it as a way to propel themselves. So the more for the most part, the more tragedies that there are in the world, the more natural disasters, the more mass killings there are, the more leverage the people who are in power have to say, you should keep us in power because we will stop this. Because plenty of blind sheep will be like, yeah, let's do it. Then they don't actually stop it and everything goes downhill. Which is why you should not partake in mainstream politics or mainstream news. Don't listen to mainstream news. Just form social circles, form communities, form tribes. It's the best way forward. Combat social alienation. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.